everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and check out our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. And finally, check out our Altar Sleeves. Support the show by using the code MAGICMICS at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of exclusive sleeves featuring the Magic Mics crew at AltarSleeves.com/MagicMics. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Erin Campbell.
Happy Pride, everybody.
Reuben Bressler.
Hi, how's it going?
Everything is lovely. We've been out of the States, back into States, saw some loved ones. That's great.
I went to Ohio. One of my best friends from college got married, and I saw my parents. I went to the old stomping grounds in Columbus, Ohio for the first time. I was on a plane for the first time in 16 months. So, yeah.
Goodness.
But I'm back in California. I don't have my desk currently, which is why I'm over here.
But you'll work it out.
Something else. My roommate is producing like a music video or something and needed that table. So
I am not looking forward to flying again because I've always had a fear of flying, and I'd like to think over the last couple of years that I had made some progress in terms of getting better at it. But because I haven't flown in almost 2 years, all of that hard work has gone out the window, and now even thinking about getting on a plane just makes me nauseous.
I love flying on a plane because I know that if it crashes, it's not going to hurt.
Oh, no.
Wow. Well, on that note, we're going to kick it off with our first pick and giveaway. Get your chance at a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat, but subscribe first to get 2 chances to win, and don't forget our raid at the end of the show to support a member of the community. Enter your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we might raid tonight. Because it is time to talk about Modern Horizons 2. The full spoiler is here. We're starting to hear a little bit more about sort of how the set came to be, how Sam Black and Brad Nelson were involved in it, and there was a whole show earlier today where they talked about their experiences, and Sam Black wrote an article we talked about. Going over some of the last spoilers from basically this week, from last week to this week, we've pulled out 3 cards that we wanted to discuss or chitter-chatter about for whatever reason. The first one on my list is Bloodbraid Maurader. The little tiny Bloodbraid. The Bloodbraid. Yes. Bloodbraid Maurader, much like Bloodbraid Elf. It's a red and a generic mana for a 3/1 rare human berserker, and it can't block. But if you got Delirium, this spell has Cascade, as long as there are 4 or more card types among spells in your graveyard. And that is bananas.
Yeah. This card is gonna probably see play alongside Lurrus, because I don't think we've definitely never seen Cascade on a 2 CMC card before.
Right.
And the shell that this probably goes in probably has Mishra's Bauble, probably has like just some value stuff in it, and so being able to rebuy this card over and over and over again is super interesting. And the way that they snuck Cascade onto a 2-drop while making you jump through some hoops is also pretty interesting.
Seal of Fire was another card that the Lurrus decks really liked. Lurrus Burn was using it for a while.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this is a card that, there's so many options. There's so many new spells that don't have mana costs that you can kind of use and abuse with this thing. It requires Delirium, but that doesn't require a ton of setup considering the tools that you have in the format.
Nah.
And it was just a very exciting, cool rare that I really enjoyed. A mythic rare that I don't know if, obviously I enjoy it because it's great, but damn, they really pushed it on Arkon of Cruelty. This card is bananas. This is one of the Chase mythics. Hell, every mythic in the set is Chase. This is a mythic rare in the set. It's 2 black, 6 generic mana. Don't worry, you're never going to pay 8 for it. But it's a 6/6 Archon with flying. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life. You draw a card and gain 3 life. Sam Black, kind of, I guess infamously at this point, mentioned that, when he left, it didn't get it on attacking. It only got it when it enters the battlefield, which sounds good enough, but let's just get it every single attack. Let's make Primeval Titan style.
So The challenge with making Reanimator happen in Modern is that Wizards understood that you can't have people reanimating Griselbrand and Iona or Elesh Norn like you can in other formats. And so the challenge was giving people attractive non-legendary targets that they would want to reanimate. And you had a pretty good suite before. You had Ashen Rider, you had Inkwell Leviathan, you had Sphinx of the Steelwind, Terastodon. Even just a Grave Titan can sometimes get you there, but they did want to sweeten the pot a little bit and push Reanimator a little more, so they gave us this card. They also gave us the Angel. That gives you protection from card types as well. And so, if you do want to play Reanimator while you can't get the usual stars, you do have a pretty attractive suite to choose from.
Yeah, this card definitely slides next to Ashen Rider as the top tier reanimation targets for Modern that are non-legendary for me. And you can, run those alongside Persist, Unmarked Grave, and I guess it's the opposite of Goryo's Vengeance, but you can use it with Footsteps the Goryo if you can give it haste somehow. I mean, this is just a lot of value on one card, and this seems like a really fun giant thing to swing with.
Yeah, there's the what's that gold, the black-white
the Priest?
Yeah, Fellright Priest or something or other. Yeah, that card is, the...
Priest of Fell Rights, yes.
Yeah, Priest of Fell Rights. Well, what's okay once you get this thing in the yard and get that out and later unearth it and pay 3 life to get it back out and get that 3 life back immediately and all this other stuff. So, yeah, all the numbers on this card are fantastic and scary, and I guess they needed a really, really good, scary Reanimator thing to get people started. And another Mythic worth $20+, which is the set. Basically.
I'm pretty sure every Mythic in the set is, as we learned from Modern Horizons 1, everything is better than it looks.
Yeah.
Everything is pushed beyond a standard power level, and so even the mediocre things are going to be better in the grander scheme. And so I would not be surprised if this stayed at that level.
Now, before I talk about my third card, I'm going to set it up just a little bit because, Lord God, 10, 12 years ago, whatever my life was 10, 12 years ago, and I got to hang out with Wizards R&D a lot, I got to talk to them about certain things that I would ask them about. Like, for example, why will you never print Bribery? Bribery is an awesome card. It was only getting more expensive. Foils were certainly expensive for my cube. I was just like, what's up with Bribery? I didn't do nothing wrong. And they said, well, kinda. It stops people from playing with really sweet creatures. And if we make Bribery, they're not going to play these really awesome mythic rare creature guys that we make or whatever. And so it's the bad, the bad way to kind of influence the format. And I'm like, turns out, 10 plus years later, screw it. We got Inevitable Betrayal. Inevitable Betrayal is just really crazy good. It's a rare sorcery with no mana cost, but it's blue. You can suspend 3 for 2 blue and a generic mana, which means rather than cast it, you can pay 2 blue and a generic and exile it with 3 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you remove a time counter. When the last one's removed, you cast it without paying its mana cost. You search target opponent's library for a creature card and put that card onto the battlefield under your control. Then that player shuffles. Now, obviously, there are creatureless decks or decks that run creatures you wouldn't be very excited to get, and that's understood. But that was also the argument of why it would be okay to print Bribery back in the day, is that those decks didn't all just run one creature or one awesome creature. But, here we are. Now, the real cool thing is not just this story of, man, they wouldn't print Bribery for a long time, and they still won't, but they'll print this, when they also said the original idea for this card was Tinker. And I'm like, oh my God.
Can you imagine Tinker Citadel in Modern? Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, it would be as foretold Tinker Citadel.
Yeah, it would be
pretty gross.
Filthy. Oof.
Yeah, I don't think I buy their original argument that people aren't going to run. Yeah, people aren't going to run sweet creatures because you have a card in your deck. That's like I'm going to put a creature in my Storm deck because my opponent might have Talisman Performance. Like, that's just, it doesn't, I'm not going to live in fear of what my opponents are going to do. And I never really bought that argument. And this is a good one to put on this cycle. Every of the colors got a free suspend. Suspend 2 card, I think. There was a Warp World.
Well, there was 2 and 3. This is 3, so.
This one's 3? Okay.
Yeah, 2 blue.
And then, so Demonic Tutor in black. There was a Yogg Will in green.
The Replenish came back thing.
The Replenish is insane.
That card's nuts.
That card's insane.
With Shark Typhoon? Woof.
Yeah. And Omniscience. That card's going to be very good. But yeah, I think that this is a good choice, certainly compared to Tinker. And among things that they could have given us, I like having access to this.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of things they could have given us, Erin, let's talk about your first card.
Absolutely. Oof. So this card also happens to be the name of a Britney Spears song, so I'm very on brand with this. The first card I chose is called Break the Ice. So let me just get my Skyfall. I put break in here, and Skyfall is just break the...
Well, you could give us the Britney, what's the melody of Breaking the Ice?
You know I can't sing. So Break the Ice is 2 black. It's a sorcery. It says destroy target land that is snow or could produce colorless. So this is basically Sinkhole. So this is Sinkhole in Modern. Ever since Kaldheim, people have wanted a hate card for the snow decks because, as we've said many times before, there's really no reason to run regular basics anymore. Like, it really is just sort of, snow all across the board. And Tron is still very much a known quantity in Modern. Fulminator Mage is sometimes too slow against Tron. This is just a really great answer to that. And if you're feeling really frisky and have a lot of mana to burn, it comes with Overload, which is 4 colorless and 2 black, and it says you can destroy all lands, or destroy each land that is snow or could produce colorless. Now, you want to be careful because this does say each, and this does include you too. So if you do overload this, it may come back and bite you. But this was just a card that kind of snuck in late in the previous season, and people were just like, what on earth?
Yeah.
I remember someone was just like, are people playing a lot of Pain Lands? And I'm like, it's for Tron.
It's for Tron.
They hate Tron.
Right. This is for destroying snow-covered forest,
Eldrazi Temple,
and Urza's Tower. That's what this card is for.
Yes.
Sure, it will also get your, Heliod's Halls of Generosity and your Eldrazi Temples and what have you, but we know why we're here.
Yeah. I appreciate that, there has to be something that keeps Snowlands in check. Yeah. And if this is what keeps them in check, I'll take it. Like, make them suffer. That's what you get. All right. Erin, what's your second card here?
My number 2 is a card that is near and dear to my heart. I'm just going to link a little article here. So I actually got to help preview this card. Mm-hmm. I got to preview this on Tuesday, and I'm very excited. There's a little bit of an interview with me as well, so if you want to hear my thoughts on the history of Modern Dredge, you can check that out. They used a good picture of me, too. My second card is Magus of the Bridge. So Magus of the Bridge is 3 black, 3 pips for a 4/4 human wizard, and it says whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you get a 2/2 black zombie. And whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard, you exile Magus of the Bridge. So it's basically a bridge from below that you want to cast that works above board. It does not work in your graveyard. But this art is just incredible. This is art by a man named Brian Sola, who I believe lives in Singapore. And just the incredible art of the zombies forming the bridge. Like, just ambulatory zombies that are locking into one another. And you have the sorcerer. This is just such powerful art. I get chills looking at this. This may not necessarily be the best thing you can be doing, but Goblin Bombardment is in the set. We have seen some sort of fringe aristocrat strategies out there. And so if there's a deck with this, we could even see like a Fair Altar deck. A lot of the pieces from Modern Hogak are still there, minus Hogak. You could still do Altar of Dementia, Bloodghast, Carrion Feeder, Vengevine, this. I would love a modern take on Altar. I think that's great. But just this art means a lot to me. The interview meant a lot to me that Wizards chose me to do this, and I'm very proud of this.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, congrats on that, by the way.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And this card,
earned it.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you're the graveyard queen. And the thing I appreciated most about the article was very clearly Wizards of the Coast design, if not development, is far removed from competitive Magic. And I think that they probably thought this was a dredge card. And you very clearly were like, this is not a dredge card. And they're like, are you sure? Because with dredge, and you're like, no, this is not a dredge card. Could be a Hogak card, could be an altar card, not a dredge card. And I was really appreciative of how you made the detail in the article.
Kindly,
thank you,
but politely yet firmly.
Yeah, politely yet firmly ask them to leave. Yes,
it's not dredge. It's not a dredge card. All right, what's your last card?
And the last card is something I'm really excited about for Vintage. This is a card that snuck up on us. I think this was revealed by the Judge Academy, and I think it might have even come out while we were recording our last episode. I wasn't sure if I covered this already. If I have, I apologize. But this is a card I'm really looking forward to in Vintage specifically, but I'm also always up for a zombie deck. My third card is Master of Death. So Master of Death is 1 colorless, a blue, and a black. It's a zombie wizard with 3 power, 1 toughness. When it enters the battlefield, you can surveil 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, if it's in your graveyard, you can pay 1 life and put it back in your hand. So Bazaar of Baghdad, when it's not dredging, you can just use Squeeze and just discard cards to your Bazaar. We also use Gravakin Horror, and so this is better than Gravakin Horror because this is blue. It pitches to Force of Will and Force of Negation. It's black, so it pitches to Unmask or to Grief. And so the minute this card came out, it kind of snuck under the radar, but the Bazaar people were like, and so I will absolutely pay 1 life for a Squee that I can pitch to things. Like, this is fine.
Yeah. This is a card just full of, like, it just kind of has the right numbers. It has the right words on it, you know? It doesn't seem to be doing a ton of stuff, but everything it does, it's like it's where you want it to be.
I mean, if you read Squee, it doesn't feel like it's overly powerful. This is a Squee that is blue, so it can be removed to things, and black, so it can be removed to things. Has words that matter when it's on the battlefield as well. So, it's a really good card.
Very nice. Yeah, this card is totally sweet. And a 3-mana 3/1, like, it's nothing to write home about. But again, those are the stats that, you know, will just chip away at you and kill you if you leave it alone long enough. All right, Reuben, what's your number 1 here?
So,
your first card.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we in the top 10 episode?
You know what I mean.
So, there's a number of things I really like in Magic. And, you know, y'all know I love squirrels. I talked about a squirrel card last week. I love Burn. I love lots of different things. There are some things I love that haven't gotten a ton of love themselves. And one of those things is flipping coins. I love a coin flip deck. Like, I played Squeeze Revenge. I'm going to build around that new blue-red Djinn thing.
Oh.
And one of the cards that is going to help is Tavern Scoundrel. Which is important for another reason, and I'll get to why, but I want to start with the coin flipping because it's great. Tavern Scoundrel is a common. He's a 1/3 human rogue for a colorless and a red. When you win a coin flip, create 2 treasures, pay a colorless tap, sacrifice another permanent, flip a coin. Easy peasy, simple, but it is a sack outlet, and that's a huge deal, especially if you're trying to build a reasonable limited environment. That's a big thing. This thing makes treasure tokens, not really reliably, but it can and can ramp pretty well. I just love this card.
Yeah. This is a take on Tavern Swindler, which Cynthia Shepard actually also did the art for. So fun little take there. It's nice to kind of compare them side by side and look at the similarities. I'm actually really excited about this card. I do have a Pashalik Mons EDH deck, and so I'm excited about it because it's a sack outlet. But also, I've talked about this before, ramp in EDH for mono red is quite elusive. You have like rituals. You can spend 50 on a Dockside Extortionist if you want to, but you really don't have too many options other than just basic rocks and just kind of, you know, very, very basic things. And so I'm really excited for this as just kind of a fun, affordable way to, get ramp that's a little bit unusual and also just 1/3, decent body on it, good butt, and a sack outlet. That's cool.
Yeah. Good butt. All right.
I look at this art and I'm like, how is this not a vampire? Is my concern. Like, it's a human, but
yeah,
I'll let it slide.
And it works with Magus at the bridge. How about that?
Well, for those who don't recall, at M21 was Tavern Swindler for a black and a generic mana for a 2/2. That tap, pay 3 life, flip a coin. If you win it, you gain 6 life.
Right.
So that's
gamble your life with that card. This card, you gamble your things. Yeah.
And if you get treasure tokens, you can sack them, and on it goes.
And you can make $1 million. That's how gambling works, right?
That's exactly. I mean, you went to Las Vegas and made your millions. I mean, it's whatever.
Buy your love. Yeah, I love that song.
Reuben, what's your second card here?
So when I was little, we weren't allowed to curse in my house, and there were a number of words on that list that weren't curse words. For example, I got in trouble for saying the word "stupid" until I was like 7. And one of the words that's definitely on the list, because it's a curse word, is now a magic card. And so now we have a very interesting situation for parents that don't want their kids to curse and then purchase them a pack of Modern Horizons in which they open a copy of Damn is black sorcery. Destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. With overload of 2 colorless white, which means it becomes destroy each creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. So you've got a sorcery speed, 2 mana, like Victim of Night or Terror effect. And then you've got overload, Wrath of God, essentially. And so this is sort of calling back both Wrath of God and Damnation. Just a very interesting card.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you're legally obligated to, if somebody plays this against you, you must say, damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, this card is absolutely terrific. This is the, look, it's taken us, how long, how old is the game now? Like 33, 34 years old or whatever? Before we finally got to the point where we're like, all right, a better Wrath of God can exist. The literal only downside I've heard so far is an Inquisition of Kozilek can grab it, that it couldn't otherwise if it was Wrath of God. That's it. Otherwise, this thing is just bananas. Like, here is what we're here for. So
I'm always surprised at the number of one letter of one word, just single words that have not been put on cards yet, where it's like, how has this not been used yet? Okay.
They did a real good job in this set with Persist, Suspend, Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple more that are like, how have they not used those? And then they printed really clean, good cards for them, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Solitude, stuff like that. I mean,
Fury.
And there's again, there's only they get one chance to do something cool with the one-word names. I'm excited about the next silver bordered set that drops the F-bomb. Let's see what that thing does.
I don't hope so.
But Reuben, what's third card?
My third card is an interesting way for them to put Soul Ring into Modern. we're going to talk about Soul Talisman.
Yeah, we are.
Soul Talisman has Suspend 3 of a colorless. When the last Suspend card is removed, the artifact comes into play, and it taps for 2 Wingdings. This is a Soul Ring with Suspend 3, much like we have Lotus Bloom,
Mox
we
Tantalite.
have the Mox Tantalite. Yeah, and this is in that same vein.
Right.
I always thought they were just going to print a version of Soul Ring with the Sarah Avenger text, but they seem to be really in love with Suspend for whatever reason, and so this is what we get. And you know what? For whatever it's worth, this is a really good way to do it. I mean, I think that there's a lot of sort of gentlemen's agreements in Commander games anyway that you don't want to have super fast mana before turn 3, so this is sort of built into the card.
And there's something, I think, unique about knowing it's coming. If it was Sarah Avenger text, you wouldn't know on turn 3 they're playing a Soul Ring, whatever. But here it's like, it's coming. Just so you know, I'm going to get, a Storm Count and some awesome mana here in just a minute.
Coming.
Yeah, he's going to come and get you. There's a bunch of things that will fire off exactly on that 4th turn for you that just kind of, maybe there's this, that's where that giant Storm deck comes from, as they finally put all the Suspend stuff together. And then people are just like, what about when it's not turn 1? I'm like, EDH players don't care. Like, they're not going to be mad if they suspend it turn 4 and get it later. Like, it's okay. Like, at worst, this is a casual all-star, and it might actually get there in Constructed.
Yeah.
All right. So, as we had mentioned here, that Sam Black had written an article about his work on Modern Horizons 2, some of the stuff that he had done, some of the stuff he had changed. He stopped Caracas from being the Buy a Box promo and being in Modern. Like, I honestly, I felt like he saved Wizards from themselves there. It's like...
Well, look, we're talking about a Sam Black article written about Sam Black.
Yes.
Guess who the hero of the article is?
I mean, this is a Rosewater classic story of him against the company.
Well, it does track, though, because, we talked about how, legendary creatures were going to be a problem for the Reanimator decks. And so you can kind of see that given the way that the Unearth was designed and the way that the Reanimator was designed, that, they clearly wanted to not make legendary creatures the focus of the format. But as he mentions in the article, if you do print Caracas, you're essentially soft banning legacy creatures. And that just feels feels really bad. So, you don't really have Wasteland in this format. You have Field of Ruin. You have Ghost Quarter, but that's even if you're running those. And so, I agree with him that it would just be... I mean, I'm excited by it, obviously, as an Eternal player, but, when I think of it in the context of Modern, it would just be a really big bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and legendary creatures, not legacy creatures, but either way, this is, the ability that, like, you're making all of these, you're making all these legends, and they're all great, but if you put this card in Modern, you're not going to be able to take it out without just banning it, and you don't want to do that. That's going to look bad. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, you're not going to see any of these legends see play, because this is why Tassiger sees no play in Legacy. It just... boing, and there's no Wasteland to keep it in check, which is another thing. Let's see here, bring up some of the article here.
I thought the Doomsday story was funny. Apparently Wizards was considering putting Doomsday in Modern, which at the end of the day, I think it's fine, because we don't have Dark Ritual, you don't have Petals, you don't have Diamonds, you don't have Lotus, you don't have Recall. You don't really have a way. It's a lot more difficult for you to crack your piles as well.
No Gitaxian Probe.
Ponder's banned still. I mean, you have Preordain, Preordain's banned too in Modern, right? So you can't crack your piles as easily. You don't have Gush, and so. But we've talked before about how Wizards is very far removed or very insulated from the community. Kind of like how they didn't know that Hogak and Dredge were not necessarily the same. It's funny that Sam's like, they asked him to like build a Doomsday deck, and he was like, "You remember Thassa's Oracle, right?" And they were like, "Never mind." Never mind that this has been a tier 1 deck in both Legacy and Vintage ever since Thassa's Oracle was printed. So, but looking back on it, I do appreciate that they're swinging for the fences. Like I said, I do think at the end of the day it would be fine, but it's just hilarious that Sam had to remind them, like, this card's real, right?
Another bit at the time was that companions were coming. And he told the story where they're like, companions are coming. Here's the ones you might care about. And he read them and he's like, it's an 8th card. And
they argued about how Yorion was not going to see Modern play.
Right.
He had to go find Yorion. He said, show me all of the companions. And that's when he found Yorion and just built infinite Yorion decks.
Yorion's even seen Legacy play as well. Yeah. Right. So, more examples of them just kind of being a little insulated.
You still can't believe what happened with Companion. I still can't believe what happened with Companion. That's just insane. But yeah, plenty of cool stories where he talks about some of the changes.
And the Yorion thing came about because he was building an Out of Time deck. Mm-hmm. Because at the time, Out of Time didn't phase things.
Yeah.
It blinked them, which, boy, howdy. I mean, if you've ever had a Charming Prince in play when you cast a Yorion, you know how that story goes. So this would have been even more ridiculous because it essentially fogs your opponent. This would have been like an Astral Slide against Affinity deck. Oof. Where it's just like, great, I don't care if you're attacking me with like 6 creatures, they're all getting blanked all the time, so you're never dealing me damage, and that's what would have happened here.
I've played against the Ephemerate deck in Historic, and it's gross when it gets going. When it gets going. So plenty of fun stories where they changed a few cards here and there. It was interesting to note the Prismatic Ending. He's like, if that card is an instant, it's like one of the best pieces of removal ever made in the history of Magic. Mm-hmm. Like, it's crazy good. Which was neat. And, all the changes to Grief and how they hadn't finalized that type of stuff. So all sorts of neat little stories about the set. And they're going to continue, apparently, doing that next week with Sam Black and Brad opening like a box of product or something and
nice. Cool.
Have them chat about it. So that should be awesome. A lot of fun. I guess this is a mistake, all right? I don't think there's any other way to say that this is a mistake. It's a mistake, but they did kind of put Goblin Engineer in both the Time Spiral, old promo.
Oh, did they?
Old slot and the new one, and this one, for the set.
Interesting. Weird.
Yeah, which was kind of neat.
So this was just a mistake?
I mean, again, maybe they did it on purpose, but you did Old Border on the same card in the 2 subsequent sets.
And they only did it to this one card.
Only did it to Goblin Engineer. So, and I know it's a nice card and all, but it was just kind of cute that it was found, and it was like, these kind of silly stuff, will happen when you're switching in the world of COVID and whatnot in the middle of it. All right, let's move on here to gathering the townsfolk, I believe. And there was one quick bit about don't expect the Urborg Yavimaya cycle to be completed because Boil exists, because Flash Fires exists, and because Valakut is a Magic card.
Valakut's already a problem. It's it's that damn Dryad and Valakut, and that's just all people want to be doing.
Yeah. The Flashfire's boil problem is a little less offensive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you can just ban 8th edition at this point and it'd be fine.
Honestly.
I don't think Acid Rain is modern legal.
No. Acid Rain's not modern legal. That was...
What, Legends or something?
Legends, yeah.
That was old
school. But I think that, you could make, like, Vidalcan Shackles relevant if you printed an island one. I don't know how good any of them would be, comparatively speaking.
I mean, I'll be honest, the some of the argument for being like, well, Boil exists, well, good, like, that is your safety valve. If the stupid Urborg for Islands deck gets dumb, play Boil. It's right there.
Also,
they did it to themselves.
How bad is Armageddon, honestly, in Modern? Is it that bad?
Did I ever tell you the story of how Travis Wu ruined Vidalcan Shackles for me?
Oh, no.
So I used to watch Travis Wu back in the day, and I'll never forget, I was catching one of his Living End videos, and somebody played Vidalcan Shackles against him, and he started going, Vidalcan Shackles! And I can't say it in a normal way. Every time I see it, it's Vidalcan Shackles! Like, I know I'm terrible, but it's just word association. Just Vidalcan Shackles.
Well, there you go. I mean, and it's a fun card. But again, this to me is like, so boil them. Like, that's awesome. That's what you get. That's how it rolls, man. I don't know. It just seems silly to stop.
I think the argument
cool
against
cycle.
the island one would be Mystic Sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
It's banned in Modern, isn't it?
Mystic Sanctuary? It might be. I don't know.
I can see it. I told him that card was...
Stupid.
Instant I saw that card. How dare they put the card type island on it? That was the only problem
Sanctuary.
with it.
I'm not sure there's a big argument against a Plains version, though. I think a Plains version is probably next on the menu.
I think White's pretty underplayed in Modern. Like, any attempts to play Death and Taxes don't really stick. So
if I can play a Benelish Commander easier, I'm on board.
It gets a little, moving here again to gather, it gets a little weird, honestly, watching, media and promotion of the Strixhaven Championship, or honestly any championship over the next, year and a half probably, knowing that we're winding down, which makes me just kind of sad. But the other half of, who was excited about the Strixhaven Championship? Not trying to be mean. I'm just asking questions. Like, I didn't know it was happening until it showed up here this week.
It's tough to gauge how much we would care about the Strixhaven Championship if any of this mattered in the longer run of the Magic Pro League, right? It would be tough for us to gauge because we won't know. With that said, we don't care much, and it doesn't seem like many people do, although I will say there are some interesting stats to come out of the championship
Steam Vents.
Metagame breakdown. Yeah, Steam Vents is... Well, Brainstorm is the most played card. Steam Vents is the second most played card, I think, is what
Welcome
they said.
to Legacy.
Look, man, that's what I said. Make it Legacy Light. We're already doing it in Modern. Like, just, let's go.
Interesting. Velomachus Lorehold is seeing competitive play. Who saw that coming?
Have you read that card? That card is not fair. That thing that says play Time Warp from your deck, and that's all it has to say.
I do like that people are sneaking it into play with Dwarven Mine. Dwarven Mine being like one of the breakout all-stars of combo, because you can target it with your indomitable creativities, your polymorphs, your, other things that are turn a token into a creature.
Very is it, though, so I have to give it's very flavorful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is a hell of a Magic card. That thing, giving you free turns off of smacking you is just insane, quite frankly. But yeah, the historic metagame is really interesting. Turns out, Brainstorm is a great Magic card.
I see what you did there. Turns out.
Tainted Pack's pretty good too. And they also made some like really tiny improvements, quality of life improvements they call them, to the client when using Tainted Pack to give you just a little bit more time.
Painted Tact?
Painted Tact. Tainted Pack.
Painted Tact.
Painted Tact, ladies and gentlemen.
Painted Tact Grindstone.
We made it happen. But I thought that was cool. And this was a part of the arena announcements. That is the next on the list here, where we're talking about the anthology is great, and I've been definitely sneaking my Elish Norns into play, and it's been great. I just want you to know. That's a good feeling. Jumpstart coming back on June 4th. That's tomorrow, which will be great. The Arena Cube draft comes back now with awesome new stuff from the Historic Anthology and whatnot, and the Mystical Archive, which I'm very excited to play with. So let's get some demonic tutors in there, and the channels and whatnot, and let's go. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild time to play with those cards in the Arena client for sure.
Absolutely. On June 18th, they're going to have a 100-card Historic Brawl event. You could just call that Commander.
Yeah.
If you just bump that life total just a little bit higher, you could just call it. You know that, right?
It would be one-on-one Commander. I get why they're not doing it. But also, you can have, if it's Brawl, you can have Planeswalkers as your Commander. So.
Yeah, so a Historic Brawl is like super duper fun. This is where you get to play all the cards in the client that you want, and there's silly decks and they're ridiculous, and you get to concede on all those people who play like Teferi or whatever, Hero of Dominaria, because that's all fun.
Are we going to have... I don't think we're getting Modern Horizons 2 on Arena.
No, not even close.
So,
But they didn't make it happen on Magic Online. So as of right this second, you can go play Modern Horizons 2 on Magic Online.
I will say I'm enjoying watching the people who normally stream Arena try to figure out Magic Online because they want to play Modern Horizons 2. There's just this look of like...
hopeless.
They're just...
Why does it look like this?
And horrified.
Mm-hmm.
I want to build a Asmarana Mardigadais Tentaculta card Commander deck.
There you go.
Because I don't have a Rakdos Commander deck yet. I think that'd be fun. I just would need to put every card that has food in red or black in it, and a lot of those are bad. So I don't know how good the deck is going to be, but...
Yeah, but the Asmarano Mardikadar Tentaculta card decks, like, it's cool that they made that card, and they talked about how they made that card and they did not say the word command zone on it.
Right.
That's very
and they
specific.
didn't say madness on it too, but
right.
they I think this was in the Sam Black article, where the cost of not saying command zone was the elegance of having madness, and they sort of crossed it over. But they ended up making the card better, because all you have to do is discard another card and then you can cast it.
Yeah,
I've seen some good feedback about her from people who played Modern Horizons 2 already.
Yeah,
she's a card to watch.
It's not terribly difficult to discard a card.
No,
and she's a 3/3 for 1. So
yeah, and it's also easy to focus
it draws
on.
A card.
Right, and it's also easy to like focus on the silly name and how long it is and how it's hard to pronounce than it is.
And the cookbook is good. That one thing I was really surprised by. One of the things I took away from the full spoiler is that Wizards is very adamant that we're not getting 1-mana discard outlets anymore. Like, all of the Putrid Imps that we got in this set started 2. So that was very noteworthy to me, because we were all hoping for Careful Study. We would have even taken Putrid Imp, and that just didn't happen. But the cookbook is 1, and you have to have the card in your hand, and you can only do it once, because you have to tap to do it. But that's really the only, to my knowledge, the only 1-mana discard that we got, which... to me was a bit of a mission statement from Wizards of, we're not letting you have this. This is too good for Modern.
Right.
So, moving on here, there was a Wizards of the Coast Pride 2021 celebration. Erin, have you had a chance to take a look at this?
I didn't. I do know that this was just kind of a mission statement of sorts to kind of talk about how Pride came about with Wizards, the way that Pride is celebrated by Wizards. They do have the Pride collection on MTG Pro Shop, which got a little bit of attention earlier this week, because some of the language on it was a little bit outdated, but they did seem like they corrected it pretty quickly, which was nice. And this is Pride season, so everybody is sort of slapping rainbows on things and trying to get you to buy things, and Wizards is no different. But it does sound like they do have people internally that have pushed for Pride to be a thing, and that's something we need to be aware of. I saw a really great Twitter thread earlier that was talking about how you can certainly feel the way that you want to feel about corporate Pride, but the reality is that the reason why the corporate Pride even makes it to the public is because a lot of times the people on the inside wanted it that way. And so it's a very complicated topic. There's been a lot of discourse around Pride this season, and will probably continue to be. But yeah, Wizards has always been out there, and I know many people who work at Wizards that are part of the Rainbow, and we're glad they're there.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, Wizards has always been, always is a long time. For longer than most of the corporate businesses that try to slap a rainbow on things, Wizards has been slapping rainbows on things for a significantly longer amount of time, actively hiring outside of the generic white dude pool.
Well, not necessarily white dudes. I mean, they love their white dudes.
They love their white dudes, but they have been slightly better than like
they hire people from the the LGBT
average
yes.
company.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to name any company names here, but it seems like they actively mean what they say. This is as a statement. This seems to be an earnest comment and won't just end at the end of the month.
Yep.
Yeah. And the faint smiley, which, by the way, thanks for the love of the show, said, call me when they're paying cosplayers to be enthralling Victor. How about they call me when they're paying me to be enthralling Victor? Huh? How about some of that action?
Yeah, they're not paying anybody to be anything, so don't worry about that.
Ooh, that cut a little deeper than expected, quite frankly. Jay and Nelly, who has been doing Vorthosy stuff for a very, very long time, they have a new book coming out on July 20th. This is going to be Planes of the Multiverse, a visual history of planeswalkers, and, well, I guess planes, right? Around the multiverse.
Yeah.
As it were. And I thought this was super
not
cool.
planeswalkers,
right.
Yeah.
Planes of the Multiverse. Talk all about the planes and stuff. And you can pre-order it if you like. And, yeah. So that's really awesome.
I want to go back a little bit because I'm feeling a little vindicated by something. So one of the topics we have on here is a Wizards booster selling guide, which is something that appears to have been printed on the what's the word I'm looking for?
ICV2 site?
ICV2, yeah. And there's been a lot of talk lately about just how many damn products there are out there and how confusing they are. And I seem to recall when this all got started, I had expressed some confusion about this. And you guys were like, oh, Erin, you're just simple. And it was like, no, I'm telling you, this is confusing. Like, you need spreadsheets and you need color coding. And we are now at the point where there are flowcharts and color coding just to understand the types of booster packs out there. So I'm not the only one that is having a problem understanding this. I just want you to know that.
I mean, this is one of those guides to help store owners to be like, what type of players are coming into your store? What type of products would they be sort of best suited for?
But in the olden days, it was like, you want to buy a pack? You get a pack. There was no this. There was no grid. There was no table. There was no...
Right. I think Erin is in her feelings a little bit on being... It's okay to be a simple bitch, Erin. And I appreciate that you wanted to have this moment for yourself.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
But this particular article may be not the spot where you're like, hey, store owners, when simple bitches come into your store and they say, want magic cards, and then you have to point them in the right direction.
I'm just saying, I've seen more feedback from people that have indicated that they're very confused by all of these products now. It's
when their
not
snouts
just
are
me.
ruffling through boxes looking for truffles. They can find the right booster for what they want.
Look, I mean, not every store owner is an expert. Look, listen, so there are stores every day that struggle these days just figuring out how many variants there are. Is it borderless? Is it textless? Is it extended art border? Is it frame? Is it foil? Is it foil etched? Like, is it sketch? Like, my God, there's a million different ways these cards are being put into packs.
I don't
it's
buy
hard
packs
enough.
anymore, so what do I care?
Look at that privilege right there.
Look at that
my privilege of not purchasing things. Wow, that vow of poverty privilege that I have.
Watch it go. Okay.
At least you have a Cheesecake Factory menu to tell you what cards are in which packs.
So there was a fun tweet posted by Saffron Olive about the Phyrexian creature type update that has already happened on Magic Online, but will be rolled out, later officially as Errata. And man, there are a lot of creatures that are now Phyrexian.
You have to admit,
and I hate some of them.
You have to admit, it's a little ironic that a Phyrexian card is basically going to hose Infect, because all of the Infect creatures are now Phyrexian. And so when you go Plague Engineer, which is Phyrexian itself now, if you go Plague Engineer and you name Phyrexian, there goes your Glistener Elf, there goes your Inkmoth Nexus, there goes your Blighted Agent. Like, the irony of that is just delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is kind of what it takes, I'm okay with that. Like, they should have done this so long ago. They should have bought into this
should have
so
been
long
a creature
ago.
type a very long time ago.
Yes.
I don't really get why Consecrated Sphinx is Phyrexian. Massacre Worm is a little confusing.
Today I learned.
There's a couple of weird ones in here.
Right.
Rackling became Phyrexian. Sure.
Good old Slag Fiend, because
Slag Fiend was a weird one. Yeah, Furnace Scamp and Slag Fiend became Phyrexian, and it's like, okay, that was
fine.
Like our problem. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool, and all the living weapons now make Phyrexian germs, and not just
that's
germs.
cool.
Okay.
I do like that living weapon makes Phyrexian germs now.
Yeah, that's actually super neat.
Let's see what else is there. Priest of Norn, Porcelain, Plague Stinger,
Oh, yeah.
Phyrexian Walker. Okay, that tracks.
Both of the Worm Coil engine tokens are Phyrexian worms now.
Ooh,
that makes sense.
Which is interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Vault Scourge.
Yeah, this is going to be sweet. And, of course, now, whenever they print Elesh Norn again and it has the word Phyrexian right there, that's going to make it cooler and more interesting than the ones that don't. So you get a whole other set of those you get to track. But, yeah, this is really cool. And this is one of those things that, when they go, generally they go all in when it comes to giant updates like this.
Cavern of Souls naming Phyrexian is going to be fun.
Oh,
that's interesting.
I'm looking forward to that.
Did I correctly see that Selenia Dark Angel was on this list?
Yep.
Looks like.
Was Phyrexian?
Maybe?
Question mark? I don't remember that being a thing.
She was.
Is she on this list?
Wasn't she like literally a guardian angel that was watching
she was
over
Dark Angel.
Provax's family?
Selenia Dark Angel is a Phyrexian angel now, and I don't remember that part of the story. Someone's going to have to help me. But in any case, there you go.
All right, well, let's move on here to some desperate Ravings. There was a Magic Online player named Yamakiller.
He just totally glossed over Post Malone.
I mean, he's once he gets here, we can talk about it. Honestly, it's just a preview.
But that preview was wild. Like his energy just cannot be killing. Like someone gave him Fun Dip, basically. Remember Fun Dip? Those little like sticks of that you dip, you get more sugar.
Yes,
you know.
The thing that I got out of the preview was that he has a Black Lotus tattoo on his shin.
Yeah, so that show is going to be off the chain.
It's going to be very good.
Ooh.
It should be absolutely terrific.
Also, the other thing I got from that was the 5 seconds that we saw him handling cards. You can tell he's a Magic player. Like the way he was flipping the cards on the table.
And the
like,
story, I think it was Josh Lee Kwai had talked about how this got started, that he was, I guess, a patron of the Command Zone and had like a fake name or an alias, and he got a hold of them through Patreon, and that's how this got started.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we'd spoken at one time, was Wizards involved? Wizards was absolutely not involved. We've like checked this back 3 ways. Like they're not involved. They should be, but they're not. And wait for them to take an opportunity to run with it. So game nights with Post Malone is going to be absolutely huge, and that should be very, very exciting. That said,
that's so cool.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Moving on here to Desperate Ravings, the user Yamakiller got a message from Magic Online. Man, they give it to you rough when they're tired of your crap. Let's put it that way. They said this email is notifying that your account has been banned from the Magic Online event reimbursement system. The reimbursement system exists to assist users when they encounter unexpected bugs or errors. It should not be used as a crutch if you are consistently unable to operate the program effectively. I want to drop that on somebody one day. You're consistently unable to operate this body effectively. We have determined that your repeated request for known issues is outside of the spirit of the policy in a way that we consider abusive.
Wow.
What
were they doing?
So Yama is a grinder. He plays a lot of Magic Online. He plays multiple formats. And when you play that much Magic, you are bound to discover a lot of bugs. And Magic Online does have quite a few bugs that have gone unresolved for quite some time. The bugs that are happening right now is Lavinia. Lavinia will just crash your game, like just the existence of Lavinia. There's been a Grafdigger's Cage bug for a while that's been interacting really poorly with things like Oath of Druids and other cards like that. And so, Magic Online does have its share of bugs, and he appears to have found some new ones, and he reports them, or perhaps he's reporting persistent ones. I'm not really sure, but they just felt that the number of bugs that he was reporting, they either sound like they didn't believe it, or they felt like he was doing it maliciously, and so they decided that they're just not really going to take any more of his bug requests or bug notices anymore. That's
Bubkiss is what that is.
That is Bubkiss.
That's stupid. You play a thing enough times and find enough bugs that they say, we don't want to hear your bug requests anymore. That was their solution? That pisses me off now that I know what the story's about. Isn't he following the policy by...
He is following the policy, and when you report a bug, I believe that it automatically comes with a request for reimbursement. So, they may, and I'm not saying they're right in this, but perhaps they feel like he's doing this to just sort of not have to pay for events. I don't know why else they would be saying this, and I don't really have a dog in the fight. But yeah, right. Suffice it to say, this went around pretty quickly, and most people were pretty disappointed by this.
If he's abusing bugs, that's one thing. I'm seeing some chatter that he may be abusing bugs or intentionally triggering bugs.
Well, I think there's a little of both, because the submit a bug and the ask for reimbursement, as I understand it, is the same form. Mm-hmm. And so you have the other half of it is if they keep triggering the bug in events and losing those events because that bug has been triggered on them, that could be seen as abuse. Absolutely, I can understand that. But, in other ways, he's like, hey, I lost to this thing again. Would be nice if I didn't listen to this thing again. Because that form has to be a reimbursement form too, you kind of get snagged both ways. So could be abuse.
Yeah, more context. Context is required, I think, for this particular one to see who the jerk is.
Right. I mean, and there's
someone's a jerk.
Someone's a jerk. There's another side of this story that might have like 300 requests or whatever over the same bug, and we ain't seen it. I don't know, but either way, it came across super harsh, and
this came very harsh.
Came really rough. Really, really rough. All right. Let's see here. Last little bit here. People are stupid, man. It is 2021. Erin, please. I can't do this. I'll say something stupid. Go ahead.
I also don't know the context of this.
I don't either, but I can piece it together pretty quickly. So there's a group called Insight Esports, and they posted a tweet on June 1st that said, we had to make a decision on banning a player from our events. A player was making homophobic language to insult their opponent after losing a match. We do not tolerate this behavior online or in person. Everyone is welcome here and deserves to not be insulted. And so if you're wondering what happened, they posted a screenshot here that said, for those of you wondering what the response was to being dropped without a refund. So this is after they told the person they couldn't participate anymore. The offender basically says, while I don't argue with my poor choice of words, I don't remember reading anything in the rules that said I can't berate my opponent after the match. If you don't want me to play in your events, I have no problem with that. I expect a full refund of my entrance fee, and I'll make sure I inform everyone I know about your attempt to rob me. P.S. Dude was a total homo. And so he basically says that I made a homophobic comment because my opponent's excuses.
What is happening?
Oh my god! I just totally wrong, but also just like that's your answer.
Homo? What? It's 1988 and you're really trying to dish? What is wrong with you? Listen.
Is this real?
There's not a rule that hangs up inside of our building that says don't smear your poop on the walls, okay? We shouldn't need that sign.
He needs that sign because my opponent was a homo. Is the Oh God. Oh Jesus.
Oh my God. Okay. I can't. It sounds like a bad joke. I swear to God. And I just look, man. Yes, there is no rule that says I can't go harass my opponent because you're a horrible person and you need that rule to exist clearly.
The fact that they need to be told I can't berate people is wild. And then the fact that you counter an accusation of homophobia by saying it's not because they're homo.
But he was total, bruh.
Oh my God. You can't help it. You gotta laugh to keep from crying.
I can't. I'm like, you're this soul on earth somehow thought that this was the right reaction to being explained what a terrible person they were.
If I was his opponent, I would change my Twitter name to like total homo. Like I would just lean into
go all the way. Just I can't. I don't. I'm sorry. Okay, that was fun.
Yeah.
Whew. All right, let's turn the corner here to the finisher. Modern Horizons 2 is chock full of references, in-jokes, memes, callbacks, and updates, somehow giving us both the spiritual successor of both Time Spiral and Unstable, while also being one of the most busted sets of all time. But there are more than 20,000 Magic cards now, and fewer than 500 in Modern Horizons 2. It's an old meme, sir, but it checks out, so tell me, what's a reference you want to see in Modern Horizons 3, Reuben?
We heard we won't necessarily get continuations on the Urborg Yavimaya cycle, lands that turn all lands into basic land types, but maybe there's room for a colorless version. And there are definitely some barren wastelands in the multiverse that could be legendary lands that have each land as a wastes in addition to its other land types. Wrath, Phyrexia's Nexus, Mirrodin, Artificial Plane, or my personal favorite barren wasteland in Magic history, Erin's Block List.
That was
Erin?
good. Well, Magus to the Bridge signals to me that Wizard still fears Dredge. But on the plus side, Modern Horizons 2 printing more Storm cards tells me that maybe there's hope. So I'm looking forward to Modern Horizons 3 when we get Gourmet Grave Troll, which dredges equal to how much you delve this turn, and somehow it'll still be less broken than Hogak.
Goodness gracious. Well, let me tell you, Llanowar Tribe came in the first Modern Horizons, which is 3 Llanowar Elves stapled together. This set gave us Healer's Flock, which is 3 Healer's Hawks in a trench coat. So I'm, of course, hoping for more 3 Dudes Seriously to come. And no trio would make me happier than seeing a blue, blue, blue 06 that's 3 Hedron Crabs on a plate, aka 3 Seafoods. Seriously.
Oh, I would love 3 Hedron Crabs in one.
Oh my god, no. I hate that card.
3? Is it even that good?
Yeah,
3?
the mill deck exists. And it's,
But it's a 3 mana 06.
okay, that
A
one.
1 mana 02 is very good.
But if you're milling 2, so you have to mill, you'd be milling 6
cards.
Be milling 6. So
Still good?
I mean, in the mill deck, right? You want the pips. You want
or even the
all that
Hogak
stuff.
deck. That's your turn 1 play, and Legacy Hogak is
Yeah, but
Hedron
it would
Crab.
be your turn 3 play.
But we
Right,
actually
it'd be-
cast our spells then, so
Do you?
yeah.
This would be a reason to play Lotus.
I wouldn't kick out of my bed for eating Cheetos.
Lotus 06, Mill 6. Yeah, that's all right.
Wow. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Reuben.
Thank you. See you next week.
We'll move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and Ultra Sleeves, using the code MagicMikes on UltraSleeves.com. My co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Reuben Bressler, you guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at MagicMikes, on Twitter at MagicMikesCast, our Magic Mike's subreddit, and like the Magic Mike's page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mike's. Good night, everybody.